3 years ago, I met a man who completely destroyed everything I thought I knew about fat loss. He was 46, 2 kids, corporate job, 6 hours of sleep on a good night. And yet, he looked unreal, dry, lean, dense muscle, clear eyes, no inflammation in his face, no joint pain when he moved. Not a professional athlete, not living in the gym, not some genetic miracle. So I asked him what his training split was. He smiled and said something that stuck with me. I don't try to burn fat anymore. I fix the signal. That sentence changed everything. Because here's the truth. Nobody tells you. Fat loss doesn't happen in the gym. It happens in your cells. Every rep you do, every calorie you cut, every mile you run. None of it matters if your biology refuses to cooperate. And after about age 35, that cooperation starts to disappear. Growth hormone drops. Insulin sensitivity declines. Mitochondria become less efficient. Hunger signaling gets distorted. That's why what worked in your 20s suddenly stops working. Not because you got lazy, because your internal communication system changed. Right now, quietly, not on Instagram, not in mainstream fitness, a small group of performance doctors, longevity researchers, and high-level athletes are using something radically different. Not steroids, not fat burners that wreck your sleep, not sketchy compounds that hijack your hormones. Peptides. Tiny biological messengers that don't force your body to change. They instruct it. They don't stimulate. They signal. They whisper directly to your mitochondria, your hormones, and your metabolism. Burn fat. Preserve muscle. Recover faster. Age slower. Today, I'm breaking down 3 of the most powerful fat loss peptides being used right now. Ipamorelin, Retatrutide, and MOTS-C. No hype, no influencer protocols, just biology. And by the end of this, you'll understand something most people never do. Fat loss isn't about calories. It's about signals. Before we even talk compounds, you need this framework. Your body loses fat through 3 major systems: hormonal signaling, metabolic efficiency, and appetite regulation. If any one of these is broken, progress stalls. Most traditional fat loss approaches only attack behavior. Eat less, move more. Peptides target biology. That's the difference. Let's start with Ipamorelin. Ipamorelin is often misunderstood. It's not a fat burner. It doesn't melt fat overnight. What it does is more subtle and more powerful long-term. Ipamorelin tells your pituitary gland to release growth hormone, but gently, naturally. Impulses. Exactly how your body is designed to do it. Older growth hormone stimulators caused hunger spikes, cortisol elevation, and prolactin issues. Ipamorelin doesn't. Instead, it restores something you've been losing since your early 20s, your natural growth hormone rhythm. Why does that matter? Because growth hormone is one of the most fat-mobilizing hormones in your body. It increases lipolysis, meaning stored fat gets released. It protects lean muscle while dieting. It improves sleep quality. It enhances collagen production. It supports recovery. Here's what most people notice first. They sleep deeper. Then something strange happens. They wake up leaner. Not because fat vanished overnight, but because inflammation drops. Water retention decreases. Fat oxidation improves. Energy stabilizes. It feels like your system finally starts cooperating again. Ipamorelin doesn't override your body. It repairs the conversation. But here's the honest truth. On its own, Ipamorelin is foundational. It restores baseline. It doesn't aggressively strip fat. Think of it as fixing the wiring, not flipping the switch. If this kind of breakdown is valuable to you, and you care about real biology instead of marketing noise, subscribe to Midlife Peptide Intelligence. This channel exists for people who want clarity, performance, and longevity, not hype. Now things escalate. Retatrutide is not optimization. Retatrutide is intervention. This compound activates 3 metabolic pathways at the same time. GLP-1. Glucagon. Most people only recognize GLP-1 from diabetes medications. That's appetite suppression. Retatrutide goes much further. GLP-1 reduces hunger and slows digestion. GIP improves how your body handles nutrients. Glucagon increases energy expenditure and fat mobilization. So instead of just eating less, you burn more. At the same time, appetite drops. Metabolism rises. Insulin sensitivity improves. That triple action is why clinical trials are showing fat loss numbers that were basically impossible without surgery. But this is where we slow down. Because retatrutide is powerful. Powerful enough to suppress appetite so strongly that some people forget to eat. Protein intake drops. Muscle loss can occur. Energy can crash. Mood can flatten. Some users report emotional blunting. Others feel persistent fatigue. Digestive issues are common early on. This isn't a lifestyle supplement. This is pharmaceutical-grade metabolic control. It works, but it demands structure. Retatrutide doesn't give you discipline. It makes discipline easier, and that difference matters. Without resistance training, adequate protein, and sleep, people shrink instead of recomposing. That's not optimization. That's deterioration. So where does that leave us? Ipamorelin restores hormonal rhythm. Retatrutide controls appetite and energy expenditure. Now we go deeper. To the level almost nobody talks about. Your mitochondria. This is where MOTS-C enters. MOTS-C doesn't primarily act on hormones. It acts on cellular energy. MOTS-C is encoded inside your mitochondrial DNA. Your body produces it naturally, but levels decline with age. When MOTS-C drops, metabolic flexibility disappears. Fat oxidation weakens. Insulin resistance rises. Energy production slows. You become carb dependent. You crash easily. You store fat more efficiently. MOTS-C activates AMPK, your master metabolic switch. AMPK tells your cells, burn stored fuel, increase insulin sensitivity, improve efficiency. Some researchers call MOTS-C an exercise mimetic because it activates similar pathways to intense training, even while resting. People using MOTS-C often describe warmth during rest, stable energy, reduced cravings, improved endurance, and easier body recomposition. This isn't appetite suppression. This is metabolic restoration. MOTS-C doesn't make you eat less. It makes your cells burn better. For anyone over 40, that's massive. Because midlife fat gain usually isn't about overeating. It's about mitochondrial decay. MOTS-C directly targets that. Now here's the part most channels avoid. Peptides amplify direction. If your sleep is terrible, you destabilize further. If your nutrition is chaotic, you create stress. If you don't train, you lose muscle. These compounds are multipliers, not miracles. Same peptide, different foundation. That's why some people transform, and others feel worse. Smart use isn't stacking everything at once. It's sequencing. Restore signaling first, then improve metabolic flexibility. Only then consider aggressive intervention. Peptides are tools, not shortcuts, not identities. Tools. If you want structured peptide education without bro science stacks, subscribe to Midlife Peptide Intelligence. This channel exists because midlife performance deserves better information. Here's the bigger picture. We're entering a world where fat loss can be engineered, where appetite can be silenced, where mitochondrial decline can be slowed. Fat loss is no longer about suffering. It's about signaling. But that raises an uncomfortable question. If metabolism becomes adjustable, what happens to discipline? What happens to resilience? What happens to the line between enhancement and dependency? Every intervention shifts something. Hormones, neurochemistry, adaptation patterns. The future of fitness won't be about who trains hardest. It will be about who understands their biology best. Ipamorelin restores hormonal rhythm. Retatrutide rewrites metabolic drive. MOTS-C repairs cellular efficiency. 3 layers: hormonal, metabolic, mitochondrial. This isn't gym culture anymore. This is systems engineering. And the people who understand it won't just get leaner. They'll age differently, recover differently, perform differently. Fat loss isn't about burning calories. It's about fixing the signal. Now you understand the signal.